Hi guys, it's Alex McCann here from Manchester-based social media company Altrincham HQ, and we're here for episode 2 of The Social Conversation. It's the chat show where we talk about what we've seen on social media for the past 7 days. And we've got some fantastic guests with us today. We've got Joss Mills from the Con Club. Hello.
Hello, hello.
And we've got Nina D from Nina D Illustrations.
Hello.
And last but not least, we've got Mark from Tatton, Perk.
Hello.
So thanks for all joining us on episode 2. So last week, as you know, we had Johnny from Little Red Pizza Co. We had Andrew McHale from McHale & Co. And we had Hayley from Off the Wheaten Track. And Hayley sent this to us a couple of days ago, just to show you how well it's going. Even after one episode, she said, we've just had our best week ever. We're completely cleared out of our pies and cakes. Thank you to all our loyal customers. Welcome to the new ones. And thanks for you for visiting us. Could it be anything to do with our recent appearance on the Altrincham HQ chat show? It all helps. So hopefully we're going to send you lots of customers your way as well. So anyone who is watching this, your likes, your comments, your shares do really matter for this chat show and all the businesses on it. So please do hit the share button. So we're going to start with the first round. We're going to start with the news just in section. What's happened on social media over the past 24 hours. So we're going to start with Joss first of all. So the BBC license fee went up by £1.50 a year, and it ended up trending on Twitter because people were complaining. So do you watch the BBC, Joss?
I don't watch television at the minute.
You're just far too busy.
Far too busy. It's too much doom and gloom. Don't get me wrong, I'm taking everything seriously. I appreciate that these are very strenuous times for everyone, but when I watch the television at the minute, if the news comes on, I have to switch it off because it's just I need a bit more light in my life. So I go on to Netflix and I put Bridgerton on instead, and that cheers me up.
Definitely. Definitely, Netflix is a place where we find cheers. So Nina, so I'm going to ask you a question now. Weetabix was trending today because they had an image of Heinz baked beans on Weetabix, and the whole world is going crazy about the whole crazy idea of beans on these really dry Weetabixes. So what is the craziest food combination you've had?
Okay, so as I'm Swedish, we do have some quite strange combinations back home, and one of them is fish roe on cheese and toast.
Oh.
So that can get us talking as well.
Definitely. I mean, I can't have any, but that does sound strange.
That tends to go down for breakfast as well. I'll just add that one. So
interesting. And yeah, definitely. And from that to something a bit more local, Mark. So obviously you're based in Knutsford and Altrincham, but Altrincham has just been named as the 37th best performing location of a list of 1,000 locations across the UK. Interestingly for you, I think it was Knutsford came 30th and Chester came 20th. So have you got any preference between Knutsford and Altrincham?
Gosh, well, how can I answer that? No, they're both equally marvellous, aren't they? What else can I say, really?
But no, I mean,
they're two very different places. Altrincham's a little bit more city-based, urban. Knutsford's a little bit more countryside, but they've got great things.
So definitely great to see both of them in the sort of the top 40 as in Top of the Pops used to be. So definitely good. So as I said, we've been looking, all of us have been looking what's been going on social and what we've been talking about over the past week. So we're going to actually start with you, Joss. What sort of stood out for you in the past 7 days?
So I'm going to have to read it here from the front. I'll read you the little headline. So it's not meant to like bring down the tone, but I know that this week I've spoken to you, Alex, and I've also spoken to Mark, actually, because we work together with One Central about how currently brands are investing money for marketers struggling with mental health. What I've noticed in lockdown 3 is it's been a lot tougher than the other two, and I know everyone's saying it. With regards to marketing and social media and PR for your places, the one thing that you know is that it's always great to be able to plan ahead. Currently, we don't have that luxury because we don't know what's going to happen. We've no idea what's going on. People always say to me, you must have an inkling, you must get like a little tidbit from people about what's actually going to happen before Boris comes on TV and tells everyone. And I'm like, we have no idea. We don't know when we're going to reopen. We don't know how we're going to reopen. So for me particularly, and I think a lot of people in the marketing sector, it's been really, really tough since just before Christmas, because we've got a year ahead of us where we've got no idea what we're planning for. And people are starting to realise that, and workplaces are quite stressful. And then you've got the added pressure that if you're working from home, and if you have got kids and all the other things that come with it, you've got to look after the homeschooling as well as being within the same four walls that you're within all day long. There's so many factors at the minute that are coming into it that from a marketing perspective, when you're meant to be creative and you're meant to be able to have all these ideas going on, sometimes it's just not possible. So a lot of brands are starting to notice that and are starting to kind of be a bit more supportive towards the marketing departments, which I think is great. And I know it's not just marketing; it's every kind of sector at the minute. But it's just great that the mental health side of things is being addressed, because it's so important. It's just such a standout subject at the minute.
Definitely.
Lockdown 3 as well. It's gone on a long time. It feels like it's just kind of a bit of a roller coaster at the minute. So I think it's great that it's being highlighted and that people are talking about it. Like I said, I spoke to you, Alex, and I spoke to Mark as well. Not ashamed to say, some days you just think, what the hell am I going to do? What am I working towards? What's going to happen next month? Are we open? Are we closed? So yeah, I think it's great. Like I said, I didn't want to bring the tone down tonight because I'm normally really positive. I just think it's really important to highlight.
No, I think it's definitely an important part, and we'll come to Mark in a second. But I mean, I work in marketing, as you know, and I work with my own brand. I work with various other brands where I'm managing the social media, and as well as all that stress of like tier 1, tier 2. One of the hardest things is on social media, you've always got to be the cheerful person. It's like the comedian's always got to be the funny person, and you've got to put funny stuff out for your clients or for your brands that you're working with, at the same time as you could have had a really, really bad day. So I've got to be smiley Alex McCann all the time and putting all this fun content out there. And you could have just have a day where I realised I'm getting out most days, trying to run, trying to walk. But there was one day where I was like, I haven't left the house for 48 hours and I had to just get out and do a walk. And you've still got to be cheerful. So I think, yeah, Mark, you've sort of mentioned things like this as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think with marketing and pushing out messages about your business, you're always trying to be very positive, as Josh said. And you kind of establish a tone of voice, don't you, as a business, of how you want to be, and you've got to change that a little bit. And I think the competing pressures of saying, we want you to come and visit the coffee shop, and One Central particularly, but we don't want too many of you to come. So you're kind of saying, stay away, but come at the same time. And it's a hard balance to strike. I think it's impossible sometimes. But I think acknowledging it, and I think acknowledging that people are in the pressure that they are, and getting that into communication is really important. I think if you can strike that right balance, that we need people to do it safely, but we still need you to come out because it's good for your mental health to get out and walk and grab a coffee, grab some food from somewhere, and you're supporting local business. But it is a fine balance. It's difficult.
Yeah, definitely. And Nina, sort of, how's it been for you? Because obviously you're from Sweden. I'm not sure what the situation is in Sweden, but you must have been looking for England. You weren't locked down at the beginning, were they? Were just life as normal?
Yes, exactly. And I keep a foot in Swedish social media as well as over here to see what's happening back home. And what's been quite difficult for me is that I've been unable to travel home and see my family, for example, for over a year now. So it very much is when you have family in a different country and the difficulty that you can't travel and see your loved ones. But the difference in Sweden is that they took a much more lenient approach, and they have actually not had a national lockdown at all. So it's also was quite stressful. Lockdown 1, 2, 3, see that they are not where we are. It's much more a government advising the public to take your own responsibility. And that does mean that not everyone wears masks because it's not required. You can be excess numbers in shops, restaurants still open. And it's actually quite stressful seeing that, being Swedish, and I'm being in a different country where we're toughening up because we can see the effect of the pandemic. And what's happened is they reviewed their strategy at the end of last year, and they've been heavily criticised for such high number of loss compared to Norway, Denmark and Finland, who nipped it in the bud quickly, did national lockdowns, closed schools and tackled it, and have come away much, much better. So it's interesting for me to compare.
Yeah, there's definitely been some different approaches in this, and I think we've all been watching different countries. We saw I think there was a photo that went around social media a couple of days ago about I think it's the Isle of Wight or the Isle of Man, I can't remember which one, but the full bar with no masks on.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even drink and I want to go out right now. So obviously we've had that. That's sort of been the whole year, this whole horrible pandemic and how it's been treating us. What else have you seen, Joss?
Also, obviously, it was the Super Bowl this week. I think everyone must have seen something about that on social media. And I read an article about the fact that a lot of the brands, a lot of the sponsorships this year, with regards to the adverts, there was a couple of big ones that didn't bother. But the ones that did, they took a bit more of a satirical approach to their adverts to lighten the tone, to cheer people up a bit. So I thought that was quite nice to go alongside what I've just mentioned, because it's something that I do a lot in our social media, and I have done more so since everything's kind of been very quiet. We haven't got too much to talk about at some of the venues obviously being closed. So what we do is we make sure that when we're talking, it's all positive. It's all talking about when we do come back. It's smiley faces. It's reinforcing the message to be strong, to be safe, to be kind, and just to look forward to better days. It's always better days are coming. And that kind of thing. And same with regards to the brands that we're looking after that are open as well, that are doing takeaway. So Unagi, which is taken a huge leap in the last year, and then One Central, all the guys that we've got there, Tatton, Perk, Melt, and then Bad Boy Vegan that we've just started, that you just tried. It's just about staying positive and just saying, look, you're stuck at home, so you may as well have something great to eat at home. Here's a big smiley face, eating it, and just taking a bit of a mick out of ourselves as well. I always love making people laugh, so I always make sure that humour is involved, especially at the minute.
Yeah, definitely. There's got to be some fun in the world as well. And I think the great thing about Super Bowl, I haven't seen many of the ads. The main thing I've seen from Super Bowl was the Weeknd's close-up face.
So we used that on the social media. It was the Bernie Sanders, as I mentioned to you, Bernie Sanders was in everyone's media a couple of weeks ago from the inauguration. And so the same with the Weeknd. As soon as I saw that, I was like, right, we've got to put that in our social media somehow. And I think everyone's just trying to make people laugh at the minute and just kind of lighten the mood.
Yeah, definitely. So all those things. I mean, has anyone else seen anything from the Super Bowl? Anything else that stood out for them, apart from the Weeknd, which was a big part?
The cost of getting advertising in that space was absolutely off the scale. It's unbelievable, isn't it? It just shows how much. And I think it's one of those rare occasions where you get lots of people watching one thing, because we're all on different streaming platforms at the moment. Everyone watches things in their own time. So the fact that it was live and it's still one of those rare occasions where you've got everybody's eyeballs on it means it's absolute prime time. The numbers are just off the scale.
Yeah, we don't seem to have anything like, none even the big football matches in England get that level of attention, which is crazy. Is there anything in Sweden, that sort of gets the whole world watching at one time?
We are very big on winter sports, and with the winter we got back home at the moment, it's mild over here at the moment compared to back home. It's -10 in Stockholm. It's over 1 meter snow. So what's really big back home, it will be the kind of ski Sundays, ice skating competitions, anything snow, ice. Everyone's watching, everyone's involved in that. So I've heard that even in the city of Stockholm at the moment, people are skiing into work at the moment. So
that's crazy. That makes what me looking out the window this morning with just a little bit of ice.
This is nothing.
Really, So what have I seen on social media? So we've obviously seen, we've talked about Superbowl, we talked about markets struggling with their mental health. One thing that I saw, and I don't know if you saw this, I shared it on LinkedIn, and I think all of you are going to feel some frustration with this. There was an article in Forbes, which was an article on the 9 best side hustles for 2021. And it managed to offend every single industry that it mentions. So it's basically been, you can do a social media manager as a side hustle, or you could be an illustrator or a copywriter as a side hustle. So without no marketing experience, no skills, no whatsoever. So how did you feel about that, Nina? I think you saw it on LinkedIn.
I actually picked up your post, Alex, and I read through the article, and I just thought, well, it's quite an insult, because all these creative individuals, hardworking, who has experience, and I think I even spotted private tutoring, to just hop on and tutor children as a side hustle, and it is just undermining the hardworking professional people who have built this for a long time. So
it's absolutely crazy. I mean, Mark, I can make a pretty damn good cup of tea, but I'm not going to set up in competition with you. So,
I'm looking for a tea maker if we're looking for someone. I quite often get this on the van when the coffee van that I run in Knutsford. I mentioned to people that I'm looking for new staff, and people will say, "Oh, I could jump in and make a cup of coffee with no experience." And I mean, it's not rocket science, but there's a degree of real skill involved in these jobs. And the article that you're talking about, it's kind of, astronaut, brain surgeon, have a side hustle, why not? It's great, it's ridiculous.
I mean, there's that thing at the moment, isn't there? I think it's been bubbling under for a few years, where everyone's got to have a side hustle, and anyone can turn their hands to anything without having the skill set. So how do you feel about hearing that, Josh? You've obviously managed it's 4 different businesses, social media. How do you feel if someone just walked up and said, "I can do your job"?
I'd love to let them have a go for a week. I'm just sit on the sideline and watch, on the side hustle line and watch. Yeah, I think it's one thing thinking that you know what goes on within a job role, but it's another thing when you actually read up on it and then you've got to execute it. I think it's, I'm trying to think of a side hustle I could do, but I haven't got time to think of the side to do it. So yeah, it's, I mean, sometimes these articles may be written in a bit of haste or a bit of jest, or just to fill airtime, or to fill time in general. But I think we all know that deep down, there's a lot that goes on with regards to any kind of profession, and you can't just pick it up. It's not a side hustle.
Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of VAs saying they do social media management, and I'm like, just being on Facebook for a couple of hours a day doesn't mean you can manage social media. So you were going to say something, Mark?
Yeah, maybe we should take it as a compliment. The idea that when you do something well, you make it look easy. I think people think it's easy. It's because we're doing it so well.
Yeah,
definitely. So, I mean, that article did incense me. I'm kind of over it now a week later, but it did incense me at the start of last week. So the other thing that I saw, which was last Thursday, and this is all going to make us feel really, really old. And I'm possibly the oldest one here. So Facebook was 17 years old last Thursday. It launched on the 4th of February, 2004. And there's still this perception that social media is like a new thing, and it's 2004. This was like when the Razorlight and the Libertines and Kasabian and Scissor Sisters first had the first albums out. It was years ago. This beast is soon going to be an adult when Facebook turns 18 next year. So, I mean, does it make you feel old? And was Facebook the first social media platform you went on, or were you on like Friends Reunited and MySpace and stuff like that? Mark's nodding.
Friends Reunited, I remember that. And then kind of meeting all the horrors from your school that you tried to leave behind years ago. That was horrible. So yeah, it seems to have flown by that social media is so part of my life. And the fact that I've got 2 daughters, one of them who's 14 now, so she just lives her life through social media, every platform she's on. And I feel old when I see the way she interacts with it and the way she uses it. I'm clumsy and haphazard with it. It makes me feel old. So the fact that it's 17 years old to me, I thought it was older.
No, it does feel like it's been around forever. And when did you join it, Nina? When did you sort of join Facebook?
I think I joined it fairly early on there. Age-wise, I might come up near you. But I have to say, Facebook, looking at last year and everything that we've gone through for some time now, I can connect with my father in Sweden on Facebook, and he can see what I'm up to. And so it's not only younger generation, which is great, but it's more of older generations hopping on and communicating to children in different countries or relatives and families. And I kind of seen Facebook becoming this real hub of lots of love and care and kindness and support for each other through these tough times. So I'm happy that it's sustained and it's kept going, really.
And sort of, Joss, you obviously manage social media all day. I see you on Instagram quite often on your personal profile, but do you use Facebook still, or have you grown out of it?
I don't use it as much as I used to, I must admit. I think Nina made a great point, though. I have noticed, and again, I've had these conversations with you whereby for food and drink, I do think that Instagram is probably still kind of the main platform at the minute. But with regards to our older clientele, that is where we see more interaction, and I know that myself from my parents. I know my mum uses Facebook to speak to the whole family together collectively as a group. We've got a Facebook messenger group going where she's able to speak to everyone along with my dad, and that's their way of communicating. So it has been particularly relevant during current times, I think, more for people connecting. Instagram is a little bit more I don't know how to really say what I'm trying to say here. Sorry, it's been a long day. But Instagram's quite visual. It's really quick, and you move on, and you're kind of swiping through, and it doesn't have the kind of relationships behind it that Facebook does. And I still think it's really relevant. I do. And I think it's been great for us during lockdowns and for the last six to 12 months, really, to just keep people up to date on what we're doing.
So yeah, I still love Facebook. I am the age. I'm supposed to be a boomer or whatever generation I'm supposed to be that likes Facebook. But yeah, I still like Facebook. So Mark, what stood out for you on social media? What's been your sort of thoughts about it this week?
When you asked me this question, I thought back over the last few weeks of what has really stood out, and I've realised, similar to the point that Joss was making before, that I've actively stood back from it because it was beginning to make. I was getting a little bit obsessed with it. I was watching every kind of feed I had, and it was making me feel bad. And I think I started to recognise that. So I've really stepped back from it and tried to not be involved. And I find myself doing that periodically. I kind of need a detox from it because it really does become overwhelming. So the thing I've been thinking about, therefore, is how you manage that relationship with your social media feeds to make sure it stays healthy. And I'm making some attempts at that, but I'm not sure how successful they are because I keep going through a cycle of lots or nothing as opposed to kind of having a better, healthy relationship. And I know because you're in this world. Yeah. I wondered how that works for you. How would you? What's the kind of advice for that?
It's really hard because I think me and Joss would say very similar things in that we never switch off. I mean, I switch off a bit over Christmas because some of our clients aren't open, so we've still got some clients. I switch off a little bit. And what's that?
I thought you were going to say I switch off overnight when I go to sleep.
I wish. I did actually switch off. I switched off last night virtually. I watched. It was on Netflix, and it was Les Miserables. There's a French 2019 film, and it's in French. So it's the one time I closed the laptop down, turned my phone the opposite way round, and I had to watch it because it had subtitles. But no, I only really, if I'm honest, I probably have a really unhealthy relationship with social media. Not to the point where it gets me under. But the fact that I know I can't switch off. So the only time I genuinely switch off is when I go abroad on holiday. And the last time I did that was I did actually do it during the pandemic in sort of August, September time. We went to Crete. And that was when I'm like out the country and I'm flying on a plane, I'm like, oh, no social media for a while. I limit myself to 5 minutes a day. So for me, my healthy relationship probably in England is running. I strap my phone to my arm. I go out running. It means for at least an hour, 2 hours, I can't look at my phone. So that's probably the only healthy tip I can give you.
I like this. So holidays, running and subtitles. Fantastic.
So what advice have you got, Joss? I mean, I know you probably, like me, never switch off.
I don't. No, I'm very similar actually. Again, I have during lockdown 1, I got into a routine of going for a walk every day, as I'm sure everyone did. But for that hour or hour and a half that I'm on a walk, I listen to music. If I love music, I know you do, Alex. If I have music on, I will zone out. So that's my kind of go-to if I need to switch off a little bit. With regards to my kind of relationship with social media, it's hard really because I do love it. I thrive off it. I love getting ideas from it. I work pretty much alone with regards to like the marketing department. There isn't one. I just work on my own. So a lot of my creativity comes from seeing what other people do, and so I do thrive from it. It's really hard because it's almost you're biting the hand that feeds you if you don't go on there. You want to know, you want to be up to date, you want to see what other people are doing, and you don't want to miss out on things because you could be missing out on a really great pitch or something. But I do think it's important to at least take a step back and work it into your routine. Maybe, Mark, make sure that you've got an hour or two a day where you just think, no, this is just for me. Whether it's sitting with your coffee, reading a book, whatever you want to do, just kind of relax. And then obviously get your holidays booked in when we know we're allowed to go away, and make sure that you don't take your phone with you. Leave your coffee at home.
Definitely.
When I'm working, when I'm actually on the machines in the van or at One Central, at Tatton, Perk at One Central, you can't go on the phone. So I don't even look at my phone all day when I'm working, and I don't miss it. I don't miss it all day long. It's when I finish and then get 5 minutes to myself, I turn it on, and then I'm in straight away. It's like I dive into the pool of social media, and I swear I can't stop myself. And it's that kind of, it's the off time when I want to be having my time that it eats into me a little bit. But I agree, it's got great value and I love it, and that's why I use it so much. But yeah, it needs to be tempered somehow, doesn't it?
So how do you cope, Nima? Because I know you've got a family, you've got a business to run, you do your illustrations. How do you cope?
Yeah, so I'm a full-time single parent, and my little boy is 8 years old, and I run my own homeware business. But throughout the lockdown, since I launched my business a year ago, and I have managed to carry on and work through, and I thought, no, I'm not pressing the pause button, I'm going to carry on. So social media, Instagram, it is my key platform, and I have, through lockdown, really got to know, I've made friends, other independent businesses, local creative people, and actually created new business relationships and new friendships. So social media and Instagram is key. We keep in touch. We do Friday Zoom coffee meets to really support each other. And I have somehow struck a bit of a balance with social media. So Christmas, I switched off and just gave a bit of a message out that it's family time for 1 to 2 weeks. And then I wasn't on it as much. But I also set my phone so I don't have notifications pinging in late at night. So 9 o'clock at night, it goes silent. 8 a.m. next morning, it comes back on, and I'll just pick up what's happened. But that just gives me that first time in the morning. It's not the phone the first thing. It is getting up, getting ready, having a sound breakfast. So I've found a little bit of a good structure, I think, anyway. So, yeah.
Fantastic. So what go on, Matt?
That so many good things there, Nina. That's fantastic. You've inspired me. Thank you.
Oh, great.
Oh, fantastic. Lots of tips for you, Mark. So what else have you been thinking about? What else have been sort of on your mind this week from social?
The thing that I really liked on the BBC was an article about long COVID. And one of the issues with long COVID is that people lose their smell. This is a lighter thing, although it sounds quite kind of about issues about the long COVID problem. But one of the issues is that people lose their smell and their sense of taste, which is linked. And they had a few people talking about what smells they would miss the most if you lost your sense of smell. And I thought this was a great idea, because I think I know for myself that the sense that gets me so vividly back in a place is a sense of smell. There's lots of other things that can get you into places, but smell transports me instantly, even to so we bought a new different type of soap, Shield it's called. I don't know why we bought Shield, but we bought Shield. And we used it, and the smell was the cleaning products that someone used to clean the villa that we stayed in Greece about 3 years ago. And I was transported back to that moment. So I've been thinking about what smells I would miss the most if long COVID were to inflict no-nos for me.
So is there anything that beats that soap that takes you back to that holiday, or is there anything else you were thinking of, like smell-wise?
Shield the soap. It's like I'm on commission here. I think grass, not as in freshly cut grass, would be one for me. I couldn't stand not being able to smell that in the springtime. And then you're into kind of food and cooking and bread and stuff. But the ones which I think are weird for me are the smell of diesel and petrol. I love the smell of diesel. When you go to the forecourt, I could literally put my nose over the nozzle and smell the smell of petrol. I love it. And with that, I don't do that, obviously. That's what I do. I don't do that. But yeah, that would be a smell I would miss. It's a peculiar little perverse thing that I've got going on.
When you sort of said this question you had, what was the smell that you'd miss the most? And at the moment, if I'm totally honest, I'm absolutely obsessed with vegan garlic Kiev. So the smell of garlic Kievs would absolutely, I've missed that so much. Like literally every supermarket I go in, I have to find the vegan garlic Kievs, and I've just like demolished them. They're just addictive. So yeah, the smell of garlic would be, I'd really miss right now. Fab. Nina, yours smell?
Mark, you're going to like this. The smell of coffee. I'm Swedish. We love fika time. Coffee breaks is a ritual for us. So the smell of really good fresh coffee, not much beats it for me.
Oh, fantastic. And Joss?
Food. I wouldn't want to eat it. I'd be really thin, which would be great, but I wouldn't want to like eat. The smell of food wafting from a kitchen is just the best smell ever.
So any specific dish that you sort of think, oh, I love being in the Con Club now because it's sort of wafting over?
I love food. Look at me. I love food. No, I just love everything. It doesn't really, there's not a lot. The only thing I cannot stand the smell of, if we were going the other way, would just be mackerel. I don't like mackerel, but any other food I will eat copious amounts of. So yeah, cook something. If I smell it, I'll eat it. Even if I've never tried it, I'll try it.
I saw some video the other day on social media, TikTok video, and again, when you said mackerel, then there was someone on the TikTok video that sort of sat at home warming kippers up in the microwave so they could feel like they're in the office. So,
that'd be my nightmare. That absolute nightmare.
Is there not a dish in Sweden which is fermented whale meat? Is that not a Swedish thing?
It's called surströmming, and it's fermented fish. And if you just prick a hole in that tin, people will just you will faint.
People will pray for long COVID.
I think there are some fun videos on social media going about of people trying it for the first time, and I don't even go near it.
So he gets the thumbs down for you. So no, that's a great one. And again, if you're watching this video when we go live later, do let us know in the comments what smells would you miss the most and which smells you wouldn't miss at all. So fantastic, Mark. Thanks for that. So what else have I spotted on social media? So this is looking at me, looking inward now. But the one thing that we did last week was we hit 500 LinkedIn testimonials this week. And it made me start thinking about the power of reviews. Because obviously 500 in my industry is probably about 10, 20 times the industry average. And I know in all the sectors that you work in, reviews are pretty damn important. I know Mark's got it all over his bio about being rated #1 on TripAdvisor in Knutsford for, is it coffee shops or coffee houses or?
Well, we're #1 on TripAdvisor for coffee, And I've got so many 5-star reviews that I won a TripAdvisor Traveller's Choice Award, which means I'm in the top 10% worldwide on TripAdvisor for such good reviews.
Oh,
That must make you feel
fantastic.
really good, isn't it?
It cost me a fortune paying people to do this, but I mean, thank you for it. Whatever.
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? We all love good reviews. I think review site, as much as they can be annoying at times, when you get that review from someone that says they've visited your place 20 times or visited your place over the last 3 years, and because they had one bad experience, you go and leave a negative review. But I think I kind of love review sites. I check them, I like them. It gives you a warm, fuzzy feeling when you get one. Is reviews used in your world, Nina?
Oh, very much so, because I don't have a bricks and mortar shop. So I work from home and I sell online on my Etsy shop and my own website. And the Etsy shop, I have American customers. The US market is about 55% of my business on Etsy. So for American customers to put trust in a product, to order all the way from UK, that means reviews are absolutely key for me. So every single review really builds my business and supports a small independent business.
And I mean, I'll go on to Joss next, but if you're watching this and you love the businesses that are on here, go and leave them a positive review, because this is something I wanted to ask Joss, actually. It's really weird. Like when I'm sat out at the Con Club in summer and you see the whole of the front of the Con Club busy. And it's really weird that literally, probably out of like, I don't know how many people sit out the front of the Con Club, but 50 people say, or something, or even more. Only like one of those people is going to go and leave a review. Why don't people want to go and leave reviews from places they go every single week? It's really weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know really. I don't know. I wouldn't know the answer to that, to be honest with you, Alex. I think sometimes when places are busy, maybe they don't think they need to. Maybe they think you're doing well enough. It must be great. Everyone does know about you. Surely, if it's this busy, everyone knows this is a place to go to have a drink in the summer. But it really isn't. There's still so many people I speak to. It can be crazy sometimes. You know, I feel like I spend my life talking about the fact that we've got an upstairs and that we used to have DJs upstairs, and we used to have Friday nights where we'd have music, Sundays where we have live music on. We've got a teepee on the roof garden of the Con Club. We've got a roof garden, and people go to me, "You've got an upstairs?" And I'm like, and we've got a terrace and it's got plants everywhere and it's beautiful and you can sit in the sun. And at the minute there's a teepee out there and you can see it from the street, and people will go, "Didn't even know it was there." And I'm like, I'm sure I've spent a good, how many sponsored posts on Facebook and Instagram talking about this teepee, and you still don't know about it. But I think word of mouth is great, and reviews are fantastic. And for us at the minute, a lot of our reviews are very much focused on Deliveroo, because that's where a lot of our takeout services are coming from. And we get amazing reviews for Unagi and for Bad Boy Vegan on Deliveroo, and I can't tell you the difference it makes, because if you are a customer that's never had something from that place before, the first thing you're going to do is look at like the last 2 weeks of reviews. You want to know the most current ones, because you want to know what it's like right now, and to have these 5-star reviews and all these lovely things being said about you is such a boost. Like Nina said, for small businesses, it means the world to us, because you're not a well-known brand, and you haven't got the consistency necessarily that those well-known brands have built upon. You have word of mouth to rely on, and you have the great reviews, and don't get me wrong, we get the odd one that's bad, and you can't do anything about that. You know, it's always going to happen, but it means so much to us. And I think sometimes the problem is that people see that you're successful or you're doing well or you're busy. They think you don't need them, but it's so important.
Yeah, definitely. So everyone, if you love businesses and you love local businesses, go and review them. It's really, really, really important.
Indeed.
And I just want to add that a review doesn't cost money to do. It takes a couple of minutes. And it's just a reminder that to leave a review or add the stars on and just go thumbs up, great place, great product, great service, it goes so far for small local businesses.
And I think sometimes people think that the act of leaving a review is quite a superficial thing, but I speak from my perspective, and I'm sure you'll agree, that it actually is, it shows a real emotional engagement with your business when someone takes the effort to go home and log on and create an account and do a TripAdvisor review. TripAdvisor has lots of critics, I get that, but for me, I make a point of responding to every review that I get, because I think if someone's taken the effort to take the time to write a review, then it's only courteous that I really engage with that. And it genuinely means the world. When I have a really hard day and I come home and I'm knackered and I sit down and I open my phone up and there's a really nice review, it genuinely lifts my day. And I think that's the value of them. Beyond my business, it's just an emotional, human level. It lifts my mood. It's great.
Can echo that from all of the clients we work with as well. I think we've all talked about the stress of social media. As you said, when it gets at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the evening and you see that great review, it's just an amazing feeling. So other things I've sort of seen this week, talking about amazing feelings, but funny feelings. So it's kind of old now and I'm kind of over it, but we didn't mention it in last Tuesday's episode. And Handforth Parish Council, which was absolutely bloody amazing. So that you have no authority, Jackie Weaver, and read the standing orders, read them. They're absolutely amazing. And I mean, it's just those light-hearted moments that you just see going viral that I think is what makes social media such a laugh at times. And I think now it's kind of done. It's kind of like the Bernie Sanders in a chair. It's kind of done. But for that last 7 days, it's kind of amused me. And the weekend memes will amuse me for the next 7 days. It's just trying to find those light-hearted things that make us laugh. So I think that's what really stood out. We don't really need to talk about it. That's old school news. So we're going to move on to Nina next. What stood out for you on social this week?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier on, I keep an eye and ear on what happens back home in Sweden. And with what we spoke about in the beginning, that Sweden took a relaxed approach to COVID and the pandemic. What stood out for me is that there's a renowned luxury department store in Stockholm and Gothenburg called NK, which stands for Nordiska Kompaniet, and that means the Northern Company. So it's the equivalent to Harrods or Harvey Nichols. And it jumped out that they are, as we got Valentine's Day coming up on Sunday, so they have gone out 100% offering dine at home, Valentine's hamper for the weekend, home delivery, the full works, the finest ingredients, cook at home. And this has become a new movement back home in Stockholm, because I can see hospitality now starting to really think, how can we make customers feel more safe back home without coming out, staying in, protecting themselves? And I find that very interesting, because we are so used to it over here. We're used to, for example, Conclave, you can order the cocktail kit, you can create the restaurant feel back home by ordering and have it delivered. And this is something that Sweden is picking up on now. And then from the department store, I then see following suit, small patisseries, small independent retailers, creating these click and collect, pick up your meal deals and dine at home. So that's quite a new wave going on back home.
I mean, we've sort of had for the past year in England, we've had that sort of, we're all itching to get out, we're all itching to see people, but we've all had that on the flip side of sort of making the most of it at home. We've been ordering food in at home, we've been having experiences at home, and then, as you said, Sweden's only just kind of edging over to that. So that's become a big trend then back home.
Yeah, it's just picking up. It kind of feels that they're a year behind us, that we really got those thinking caps on quite early on. How can we continue businesses, and how can we get our services to our consumers who are at home or staying indoors? And it's quite interesting to see the luxury leading department store really taking a lead on this.
I think that the takeaway food has been a massive part of life in this country, and I think that's really accelerated given what's happened with COVID. The interesting thing that you pick up there, Nina, is the real high-end people getting involved in that, because it's seen as quite a low end, isn't it? Grabbing a Chinese takeaway on the way home is it's not very high-end. I hate talking about this because it's like a humble brag thing, but I was fortunate enough to get a takeaway, a cook-at-home meal from Longclume in Cartmel, the 3 Michelin star place. To respond to some of the difficulties they've been having, they deliver to your door, beautifully packaged, everything that Michelin star meal, and you just reheat in the oven. It was absolutely off the scale. Even the little micro flowers that you put were in there in a little tub. I mean, ecologically, it's probably not great because you've got loads of packaging. Hey ho! But as an experience, it really did recreate something out of the ordinary at home, and it was absolutely off the scale good. It was brilliant. And I think it's that high-end introduction to this market that's particularly interesting.
Yeah, it is, Mark, because this department store has their own food halls, and it has the finest Swedish beef and the finest fish, freshly caught. So it's on a high-end scale, and it is to create that ambience and that experience, and it comes packaged beautifully in their own branded package. So it's interesting to see that they've taken charge on it, but then the smaller businesses are following on to see. They can see that actually going forward, we could be in this for a long time. So let's move forward like the other countries are doing. So yeah,
that's a really, really good pivot there. So what else have you seen this week as well?
So what I really enjoy, if we jump back home to Altrincham here, local, is seeing so many local businesses collaborating and just getting together and working on packaging products together that it's just becoming more of a demand or a need for back home, because we are spending more time at home. So, for example, the local pottery studio, Moss Studio Store, are producing soap dish holders and incense holders. And then we have Ginkgo Herb and Health across the road from the pottery studio, who sells the incense. So clubbing together means supporting small businesses, come together, support each other, and then come up with what can we create and put together. And then you will really bring thrive and more business to it, more support. So I really enjoy seeing that.
And I guess Joss One Central is kind of like the embodiment of that, in that it's a collective of businesses working together. Because you said there's 3 businesses or 4 businesses in One Central now?
There's 4. There's 4 at the minute, but there's 3 with kind of their name out there. The 4th one is kind of supplying Mark at the minute. But yeah, that's what One Central was about. It was about giving people the platform to kind of get out there. We love places like the idea came from obviously Box Park in London, and then closer to home from Hatch in Manchester. We love the fact that there was a space for independents to kind of come in and have this opportunity to kind of get out there and put their brands out there. Mark, you already established anyway, you already had your kind of place going, but we gave these guys Choser a chance to kind of get their brand out to the general public, and so far so good. It's been welcomed massively, and we just want to continue doing that. We wish we had more space, because the interest that we had from local businesses, food and drink led, was unbelievable. We could have filled that place 10 times over. We wish we could, because it was really hard for them getting in touch to kind of say like, I'm really sorry, but the spaces are filled. It's great. Yeah, it's great having that opportunity to do that. With regards to the Con Club, we wish we had more of an opportunity to do that from that brand perspective, but the problem we've got is that our food there just wouldn't really travel well, and we didn't want to try and flog something to people knowing that it wouldn't get to them in in the way that it should. You know, our restaurant experience there just wouldn't be the same. We've done the meal kits for Valentines, which have been fantastic and have been received really well so far. They'll be going out this week, but at the minute we're being careful about how we do that, because we just don't want to try and jump into everything. We want to try and make sure that we're being a bit mindful, that we're sticking to the brands at the same time, if you know what I mean. But it's great. Yeah, any support for anyone is fantastic.
And I think you found a lot of your collaborations from Instagram, haven't you, Nina? You've sort of been sort of collaborating, building relationships, and that's what business is about, really, isn't it? It's about supporting each other.
Absolutely. I think when lockdown 1 happened, I just thought, well, I'm sitting here on my own at home, working from home. So the first point for me was local interaction, and I managed to go to one of your events, Alex, just before the lockdown. But I have actually established amazing friendships out of connecting with local independent businesses, and we all can't wait to throw a big party when we will be able to. So it's been key, absolutely.
Definitely. And Mark, sort of you, one thing that I always see from Altrincham is everyone talks about community, and everyone talks about how strong the Altrincham community is. I know there's going to be some viewers from Knutsford watching this as well. What's the community feel like in Knutsford?
It's really supportive, and people pull together really well. I'm not from this world. My history was as a probation officer for 17 years, so I'm new to this, and I've come at it from a different perspective. And I came into it thinking that people had to be kind of fiercely independent with each other, and it was all about fighting with each other to gain competitive edge. And it's not like that. That's not how you make headway with business. You work together and you work collaboratively, and you're friendly, and independents work together. And that's what I found really reassuring in Knutsford with the van. And then that's been replicated as I've moved to Altrincham and seen the kind of mentality of the Con Club and the way they incorporate lots of other businesses into theirs. It's great. It's a little ecosystem, and you all benefit from each other, and that's how you grow your businesses. That's what I find really rewarding about working both in Knutsford and Altrincham.
Yeah, definitely. I think Altrincham, as you said, it's 99.9% everyone supports each other, and then there's might be just like the small minority that are like 0.1% that are just out for themselves and don't support anyone else.
Well,
and I think, yeah, show them the way, definitely. So thanks for a great, we've been about 50 minutes on this. Thanks for today. And anyone watching this as well, please do comment on there. Please do let us know what stood out for you on social. And we're going to be back again next Tuesday with some different guests, some fantastic local businesses that are going to chat about what has stood out for them on social. So again, thanks to Joss, thanks to Mark, thanks to Nina. Give yourself a pat on the back, and we'll see you all on the social conversation next week. I'll see you all soon. Bye, guys.